altcoin season heats up as Avalanche, Caspa, and Solana continue to rally. On today's show, we are featuring very special guest George from CryptosRUs will be joining us in about 25 minutes. We're talking about altcoins. We're talking about Bitcoin. We're going to talk about a lot of things. But first, before we talk about a lot of things, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is David. I'll be one of your co-hosts. And today, like every single weekday, we're coming at you live from our studio in Las Vegas, Nevada. And my other co-host joining me today is none other than your least favorite, Rob. No, Rob. Hi, Rob.
Most favorite. Thank you. Hola! It's your boy, Big Rob, back in the house. Welcome to Sin
Hold on. How
Crypto.
come he gets a round of applause?
This is bullshit, bro. You had all the time to yourself to do your intro. Then all of a sudden,
Yeah, do I get a round of applause?
I do mine, and you get all but.
Ashley, you see how this is?
I mean, he's my favorite too. I don't know.
Are you? Wow. All right, you're all fired.
I'm fired.
You're fired.
Whatever. I do my intro now?
Sure.
Hola! Okay. Welcome to Sin City Crypto, everyone. If it's your first time checking us out, we're the entertainment-focused cryptocurrency channel. Well, we're in the entertainment capital of the world, which is hosting Formula One today, also throughout the weekend. So, excited about that. It might be raining, too.
I do the weather updates. Leave that alone, please.
Yeah.
Guys, it rained yesterday. Might rain today.
Mm.
There you go.
Yeah, so...
Well,
Bitcoin at 38,000 yet?
No. Bitcoin is dumping.
Stupid. All right, so if you're new here, say hello so we can jump an old lot back at you. We will open the club with 180 likes.
Nope.
Currently
200.
at 48. We're at
200.
less than
200 like we're
it's
open.
180
200.
quiet.
200.
And hit the like button. We're less than 50% like ratio. Thank you.
Ashley, are we opening up the club at 200 or 180?
180.
Wow.
Oh.
Okay. All right. Before we get any further, I'd like to give a big thank you to our channel sponsor, KAS Blue Wire Technology. If you need some help with your networking, IT, and cybersecurity, and you're in the market for some help, visit KAS Blue Wire Tech, bluewiretech.com. They are our official networking and IT sponsor of the channel. They actually helped us put this 4K stream together. So big thank you to them. If you want the same level of service, visit bluewiretech.com, or there's a link in the description of this video. Now, we do start off every show with some funny stuff. It's just kind of funny. So here's a young man who is he's talking. Well, the lady in the background thought he was rapping.
Hey, yo, much love, man. Shout out to all my Chinese fans, man. Y'all know what time it is. We in the building. BTS, man, mic drop. We about to drop it real soon. Shout out Steve O'Key. Y'all know what time it is. We out here. We making the moves, man, across the world. Y'all know how we rocking, baby.
Hello.
Did you just say hello?
Yeah. Guys, we're not going to make it. You know, this is wash inside out. Remove child before washing. So just in case, guys, you didn't know, remove your kids out of the clothes before you put them in the washer. Speaking of clothes, have you seen the new Balenciaga towel skirt? For a low price of $925, you can rock this beautiful outfit here. Also, guys, sad news today as Snoop Dogg is giving up smoking marijuana. After much consideration and conversation with my family, I've decided to give up smoke. That's literally...
This is real?
This is 100% real.
You think he's going to go edibles or something?
Oh, semantics. Okay. But Snoop Dogg, I mean, the guy's known for lighting up blunts, and we're going to miss that Snoop Dogg. And then, guys, big news. The McDonald's McRib is back. You might not be excited, but you know who is excited? The other guy on the screen. And, well, how do I know? This was from 2 years ago. This is back when we were DR Crypto.
Looks fire. That looks pretty good. Hopefully it tastes as good as it looks. Only 10 random entries from the U.S. will be selected. With the McRib NFT, says McDonald's, you'll never again have to say goodbye to the sandwich you love.
Yeah.
So, are you... The hell is going? Are you eating a McRib?
Oh, it's so good.
Jesus Christ, man. How many? That's why you were gone for 30 minutes.
The McRib is back, baby.
How many did you eat before this one?
Literally, all he did after the show was complain about his stomach and how dense it was.
I think I had 4 McRibs that day.
Yeah.
Yeah. I am not a McRib fan, but that day, I had one. I couldn't stop. I think the MSG just.
It's all or nothing, huh?
Yeah.
Fair enough. Moving on to some actual news. Shocker. The United States Defense Department has failed its financial audit for the 6th consecutive year.
Does anybody hold them accountable?
And then his tweet from not Jerome Powell. The Pentagon were unable to track $3.8 trillion in military spending. The U.S. Treasury were unable to track $5 trillion of pandemic spending. The Navy were unable to track where we left $30 million fighter jets. The IRS, you owe us $3.37. If you don't pay, you're going to jail. It's all about priorities, guys, okay? But this is pretty absurd, right? 6 consecutive years, right? Think about running a business, right? Running a business, your accountant, right? Your chief financial officer fails the audit. 6 years. Does he make it past 2 years? Does he make it past a year? I don't know. But this guy apparently, or whoever's running that department, made it past 6 years. And so this is why we don't trust the government. This is why we Bitcoin. Speaking of Bitcoin, a lot of big things are happening. So world's 3rd largest pension fund, South Korea's National Pension Service, purchases almost $20 million worth of Coinbase shares. And then you have the Vacaville firefighters become the 2nd union in the United States to purchase and hold Bitcoin on its balance sheet. Now, Rob, talk about the ETF all the time, right? Could this be a potential scenario, right? Because obviously we know they're getting exposure to crypto and Bitcoin by proxy by investing in Coinbase. If an ETF is there, is this money flowing into an ETF versus a miner stock, a Coinbase stock, a Robinhood stock, or any of these other proxies?
Yeah, I think so. I think you're going to have exposure in smaller percentages to commodities. So where you would have 5 to 10% in commodities like gold, oil, and like say other precious metals, why not allocate 2 to 3% into Bitcoin? I think it makes sense to us. And I think it also makes sense to financial advisors, especially if the product is there. And then as people that are managing portfolios, as they start getting bigger returns, say they have Bitcoin on a 401k or a retirement portfolio, as their customers start getting bigger returns than expected, and a lot of it comes from Bitcoin, they're going to want to replicate that with other portfolios, right? They're going to say, "Hey, I got 500 members, 100 of them got Bitcoin on the portfolio. These portfolios are up, say 10, 20% more than the rest of the portfolios. They're over here clapping their hands saying, I'm doing a good job. What do you think he's going to do for the other portfolios moving forward?" All right.
I said this on Lifer's show yesterday that these financial advisors, right? You got to understand a lot of the money that's circulating, a lot of the wealth is with the Gen X and the baby boomers, right? North of about $70 trillion, right? They're expecting that money to flow down to the next generation, which would be the millennials and a little bit of the Gen X. But a lot of these older generations, they have financial advisors. And right now, financial advisors, you go in there, they can't talk to you about Bitcoin as an investment, right? They can say, yeah, Bitcoin's a proof of work cryptocurrency. They can't say, it's going to do this in price action. The halving's coming, we should probably put some money. But that all changes when a spot ETF is here. So imagine the conversation of every 6 months or 12 months, you get your client coming in and you know that this is a hot new product. And if you're smart as a financial advisor, you can do a little bit of research. You're going to learn a little bit about Bitcoin. You're going to learn about the halving. You're going to take a look at past cycles. You're going to have it come in and say, look, we got this opportunity here. We really think it's good to deleverage from the traditional stock market. Bonds having issues, selling them, that liquidity might start to dry up. So why don't we move some money into Bitcoin? This is what we expect historically, blah, blah, blah. And then bam, they come back a year later like, wow, my portfolio went up 60, 70, 80%. It's the only green asset in my portfolio. And guess what? Everyone is going to start asking, hey, I want to add some Bitcoin to my portfolio, to my 401k, to my IRA. And that starts to trickle down like a snowball effect. That's what we're looking at here, guys. That is why we're so bullish on a spot ETF. So yeah, it's kind of my take on that. And then that's all I got for tweets. Did you have anything on your end there, Robin?
No, not much. I do want to give a shout out to Lee K. Dropped a $9.99 super chat, referencing a meme coin of some sort. And also, if you're new here, say hello. We do have a couple new people. Let's see here. We got Brett Moore, Robert O'Connor, and Hasi Kutu. I probably butchered that one. Hola! Welcome to Sin City Crypto. What's our like ratio at? I don't have it pulled up here. Are we how many likes we got over there,
I
team?
don't know. Don't ask me.
75 and 175.
70. Is that our less than 50% like ratio?
I know.
Ladies, gentlemen, hit the like button. Let's get this thing going. Open the club at 180. Thank you.
Let's get into the markets, Robin.
Yeah. All right. So you got Bitcoin holding flat at 36,000. So a little off of where we were yesterday, but still at the 1 week, right on par for where we were. And then on the 1 month, you can zoom out, see the general direction of Bitcoin. Altcoins are absolutely ripping today. So some of the altcoins that are at the top of the list, you got Caspa up damn near 20%. And then also Render up 15%, Yearn Finance up 14%, Avalanche up 7%. All of these, look how much these are up on the week. Yearn Finance over 100%, Caspa up 60%, Avalanche up 71%. This is a top 13 project. Avalanche up 70% on the week. Absolutely ripping. Also, you got Phantom here as well. It goes to show you that there's two DeFi. There's two DeFi plays here. You got Yearn Finance, Phantom, a layer 1 focused on DeFi. I would keep an eye out for some other DeFi plays to perhaps rip with these. Let's see where Aave is. So Aave's down 2.2% today, and then let's see. So if Aave's up 2% today, up 2% on the week,
Down.
this is probably something. This is how I take a look. I like to see, hey, what is pumping? You got Phantom ripping, you got Yearn Finance ripping, and Aave probably the biggest play in DeFi, or one of the biggest. I would keep an eye out on this. I wouldn't be surprised if we come back on Monday. This is up 50-60%, my personal opinion. And then some of the big pullbacks today. Actually, there's not going to be much big pullbacks. You just have Pancake Swap, DYDX, Multiverse. So there's a internet computer. So there's a little bit of pullback. These are also tokens that rallied pretty hard this week. You can see that Chainlink is the only one that's in the red here, and that's because of its massive come up this month. So you can see that, yes, it pulled back this week, but when you go back to the 1 month, it started a month ago at $7. Man, it's already 2x just in the span of 4 weeks, 4 weeks, about 3 weeks. It's 2x. So this is a top project. So just really surprised to see how much it's rallied. Number 14 on the coin market cap. I do think it's cooling off. So if you're trying to get some exposure to Chainlink, might be a decent time to DCA in. So that's all I got there.
Let me ask you this question. What's a better pick right now? Right? Are you a buyer of Avalanche at $22 or Solana at $65?
Avalanche at 22 or Solana at
65.
I still will go Avalanche. I don't like either one. I don't like buying anything when it's up as much. Solana's up 38% on the week. It was just sitting at $20 not too long ago. Well, when was it? $20 a month ago. So this one's 3x'd. I don't like to touch projects that move this much. Really don't. At least not in a 4-week time window. If you take a look at Avalanche, where it's been for the last month, this was at $9 a month ago, and now it's at 21, so more than a 2x. So, I mean, that's why I would go Avalanche, because it's had less of a rally, but I would stay away from both of them at this point. Look at this on the month, up 128%.
Avalanche.
Yeah. So
Here's the thing, though. At what point, right? At what point are you saying we're going to get a pullback back to $15 versus, hey, we might see $30 soon? At what point do you decide it's still worth it to DCA or buy in versus let me wait for it to get back to $12, $15, $16, whatever the case may be?
I don't know. I would just straight DCA. That's just, if something's rallied and you have absolute conviction, sure, DCA into it. You're still not in. We're still not in the middle of a bull market, or at least like the euphoric stage. So there's a lot of room to move. So you can still get a decent buy, some decent average now, and then maybe either do a long-term hodl, or you can DCA out on the way up. But I don't know. I would not chunk buy anything that has rallied more than 100% in the last month. Just doesn't make any sense to me, right? At least DCA, spread your buys out. I know it seems like the market's heading one direction. Everybody's assuming the ETF is coming next week, and I just would say pump the brakes, spread out your buys, because the last thing you want to do is drop all of your capital you have on the side on a purchase this week. All of a sudden, ETFs get delayed, prices drop, and then you're stuck buying at 10% higher on price, when you could just simply mitigate your risk and just spread out your buys. So there you go.
I want to highlight someone from our community that because in the tweet I said explain yourself, right? Neglected Lawn picked AVAX. He said lower market cap. It's got a capped supply, better staking rewards, 100% uptime. Faster, not TPS, but TTF, so time to finality, which is what really counts. Slightly higher TVL, more protocols, subnets, and a more robust ecosystem, right? NFTs, gaming, DeFi, real-world assets, TradFi, etc. So I think both are great. George said, Robin's so bearish. He's always bearish, George. What he does. Robin the Bear. You were a bear last Halloween, weren't you?
I was.
Yeah. Halloween's over, man. So that was last year.
Well, you are actually the dumb money, David. You go all in on everything.
I'm the dumb.
So one news article breaks. I gotta reel people back in, bring them back down to earth, so they don't get exposed to the FOMO.
Wow.
So there you go.
Thanks for that, man. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
This is very kind. of you.
You need both sides of the pendulum, man.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, pendulum.
you
Spell
can-
pendulum. Now, I do want to. Okay, let's not do this. Before we're gonna bring George on in a second, but before we bring him on, I do want to just go over this Bitcoin chart. So before the show, I pulled this up. We were above the cloud. We have broken below it, which is a negative sign. So we're back into this ascending wedge pattern, right? And I'll take the cloud off since that's. So we moved back into this ascending wedge. So we should see immediate support. At this lower trend line, which puts us at 35,000. Let me plant my flag here so I can see, because the computer's a little far away, which is at $35,548. If we break below that, the next level of support I'll be looking at is not too far off, $35,353. And if we break below that, you're looking at something like 34.5K. But if we turn on the VRVP, take a look at where the volume's coming in. As you can see, guys, and people like Lifer all the time, and a majority of the traders, they look at the VRVP because you can tell where a lot of the buy orders are coming in. As you can see here, let me get rid of this real quick. As you can see here, right, anytime there's a gap in volume, right, the price just either completely rallies through it or crashes through it, right? So where is the next level of buying that we're seeing here? It's going to be right around this trend line. As you can see, look at all this buying, look at all this volume coming in right around this $35,500 level. Expect a rebound there. Either way, guys, for me, my Bitcoin strategy is to DCA in for the long term. But take that information as you will. And then just a quick look at the TradFi markets. This is per sector. So if we take a look at the maps, no, go away. You can see here some red, some green. Technology is doing pretty decent. You got Microsoft leading the way at 1.75%. And take a look at groups. So over the last 1 week, the stock market, all the sectors are in green with the exception of energy, which is a good thing, right? And then over the last month, energy is down 8.5%. And the leader is technology. And some people do like to point out that Bitcoin moves alongside tech stocks. So pretty interesting here. All right, let's go ahead and bring on our special guest. This, I believe, is his third time on the show. Love having him on. Love his insights. One of the top content creators on crypto YouTube. There's none other than George from CryptosRUs. George, how you doing, brother?
Hey, nice to see you guys again.
Good to see you too, man. We're excited for this December event, Karate Combat Influencer Fight. We heard you and Robin are going to get in the ring. Is that true, or right?
I don't know. I didn't get the confirmation from Robin yet.
He's too scared. That's why. We're actually we're actually going
to be in December though. Just so you guys know, the fight's going to be in February, but we are having a kickoff party that will be happening in your neck of the woods in Vegas, December. And also Karate Combat is having official meet there, or official fight, KC43, that will be in Vegas on the 15th.
We will be there, and we're actually going to talk more in depth about it towards the end of the show. So stay tuned if you want more info. George, happy we have you on the show today, right? I watched your show this morning for the most part. You were talking about some 50x leverage trade you were doing, and you wanted to do one on today's show. Apparently, I don't know. Did you go through with it?
I started that yesterday. I made some money last night on air. This morning, I would have if I had done it earlier, but I warn people against leverage. And people may be wondering, well, what are you doing? Why are you being a degen all of a sudden? Why are you doing all this leverage? Well, it's just like, I'm just trying to have some fun. For a majority of people out there, they should not play with leverage. They just have no idea what they're doing. Leverage makes people think that they're geniuses when they win, and then makes them feel like a total loser when they lose. And majority of people, I would say, lose. But I guess the parties that offer, or the exchanges that offer leverage, they win, right? So I always question whether or not the exchanges are the true money makers or market makers that are affecting the markets. But regardless, I'm doing it for fun. I'm just being degen, doing responsible amounts for myself, and that's really it. But since Robin said, or you said, David, that since 35.3 may be a good support, well, if you're going to be a degen, that would be a good point to throw some leverage right at that point.
Is that
not financial advice?
If you do, George, and you make some money, I expect a little 5% kickback for my technical analysis.
Bitcoin has dropped. It was at 36 just 10 minutes ago, so $200 move down to 35.8. So,
hey man, every dip to me is a buying opportunity. I feel like there's just so much positive coming for Bitcoin. I talk about it all the time, and some people might look at me like I'm crazy, but dude, I'm just. You take the time to study it with the ETF, with the halving coming. It's, man, you want to talk about a supply shock? Talk about a demand shock, right? Demand shock, supply gets cut in half. It's going to be very interesting. Now, I do want to go ahead, George. You have something to say?
No, I was just going to say, all of us that's been in the space for a while, especially those of us on YouTube that's been, kind of helping guide people and making sure that they stay encouraged and not discouraged, and making people realize that DCA is the way and long-term hodling is the best way to do it, right? I think our audience appreciates that, because most people that have been listening and doing just that are now in the green already, right? And, there's a lot of metrics that show 80% of Bitcoin holders right now, 80% are in the green. So that's amazing. Michael Saylor's in the green, despite buying and DCAing all the way towards the top, right? But I think people are starting to realize that it's the case. And obviously with Bitcoin coming up, retail investors also, that the ones that either have left or the ones that never got in the first place, they're starting to pay attention. So it's starting to heat up. And, on top of that, everything else with the SPY ETFs and having an event and possible rate hikes, rate cuts, I should say, and a presidential election and SEC losing more cases, you compound all that together. I mean, very, very, very bullish for 2024.
Hey, man, I'm so happy you brought up presidential election. What a great segue. We have a video from a Republican presidential candidate, Vivek Ramaswamy. So we know RFK's come out and talked about backing the dollar with Bitcoin. Vivek went on Natalie Brunell's show, podcast, Coin Stories. Not sure if you gentlemen have seen this yet, but it's about a 2-minute long segment. Pretty interesting stuff he says about Bitcoin. Let's take a listen. I'm curious to get your guys' opinions on this.
My view on the promise of Bitcoin, though, is deeper than that. It is an opt-out from the broken financial architecture created by the U.S. Federal Reserve System. And I say this as somebody who wants to fight for, if I'm the U.S. president, I want to fight for the dollar to remain the reserve currency of the world. But, there's a funny thing that happens. There's two ways of doing that. One is if you're really insecure about your own value proposition, you try to smash out the competition. Well, the fact that the government officials are coming for alternative forms of currency the way they are, Bitcoin included, reflects an insecurity in their own value proposition. I look at it the other way. I think the existence of Bitcoin holds the dollar's feet to the fire to make sure that it can't be manipulated in a way that people don't just opt out and go the other direction. Because if they do have that opt out, that's what actually keeps us on our own toes. And so I love the idea, the alluring vision, and it's why I was first drawn to it, certainly.
You ever seen that?
Total opt-out.
You ever seen that? That GIF where it's like Homer Simpson walking down and it says "Old man yells at Bitcoin" or whatever it is, or the newspaper.
Peter Schiff.
Yeah. So I feel like that's very, very like to where my head is at. Right. You have politicians getting mad at Bitcoin. Right. They're saying, "Hey, we don't like," but nobody's ever really got mad at gold for being a store of value. The politicians aren't like, "Hey, we need to do something about gold. We need to protect the fiat." Like, no, it's a commodity. You store enough of it, it preserves wealth. Institutions do the same. Investors do the same. And so I don't know why one asset like gold is put at the forefront as a hedge against inflation, but yet politicians look at Bitcoin in the opposite light and they say, "Hey, we want to get rid of it. It's a threat to fiat." And I think that if nation states were to embrace it, hold it, buy it, support it, be a different game.
George, this is second time I have seen a politician publicly come out and say, or at least a presidential candidate, we should back the dollar by something like Bitcoin. In your mind, what are your thoughts on that? Is that a fantasy? Is that something you believe can actually happen? Or is it just people just trying to gain extra points in the polls?
I think it's the latter, unfortunately. Vivek is a very smart guy, but he's definitely a politician. He's just talking in circles, and I don't think anyone understood what he just said right there in that clip. But I think I know what he's talking about. Obviously, the financial system is broken, but it is what we have. But realistically, to expect as a country all of a sudden to back USD with Bitcoin, I just don't see that anytime soon. Now, if it was like a country like Argentina, someone that is suffering from hyperinflation, not just inflation, hyperinflation. Their CPI reading was like 148% last time I saw a stat, right? And not just Argentina, Turkey, and Venezuela, and all these other countries that are suffering from hyperinflation, and they really, really don't have a choice. They don't know what to do. Then backing their fiat with Bitcoin makes a whole lot of sense, right? But for the U.S., I think it's just too early, way too early for the U.S. Although we all talk about inflation will destroy the USD one day. It will. It's just I don't think it's anytime soon. But with that said, I think Vivek and some of the other candidates, I think they're on the right track by embracing Bitcoin and crypto, because by not doing so, because there are still so many people so negative about it, the negative people are driving innovations away. Especially we know about Gary Gensler and SEC. They're driving a whole bunch of new innovative products and projects and leaders away to China, for example. Now, Hong Kong is like the new hub of Web3. right? Why would we want to do that? We want to keep these guys, the brightest people in the United States. So I'm glad to see some politicians actually realize that, hey, you know, maybe some regulations, okay, is needed, but let's not go overboard. Let's not drive all the innovations away to other countries. We need to keep the people here, right? So yeah, so I think ultimately that's what we want. We want leaders that actually understand that this is a new emerging technology and we need to embrace it. Maybe we do need to regulate it, but we need to embrace it, not try to kill it, not try to drive innovation away. That's how I see it.
I agree with you. I think a lot of it is lip service. But to me, for people to come out there and freely speak positively about Bitcoin, it tells me that to them, in their eyes, it is going to be an important issue that people are going to want to know where you stand on before they vote. And that, I think, is overlooked sometimes, and how important that could be, that it is on people's minds. Like, guys, we're at a point now where some of these politicians are like, if we don't come out and support, there's a chance we might lose votes, and that could lead to us losing, whether it's a candidacy or an actual election. So that's interesting to me that Bitcoin is becoming so mainstream. But like Vivek in one word said, Bitcoin is the opt-out, then says, hey, we want to shore up the dollar with Bitcoin. I don't know if you can have both. I don't even know what that would look like, backing the dollar with something like Bitcoin. But who knows? I'm not smart enough to speak on that.
To Robin's point, we don't even back the dollar with gold, right? Like, we don't back the dollar with anything. We can't, because of the way the way system is designed now. After the U.S. got off the gold standard, we basically have a free pass as a country to print however much we want now. That's the reason why we got off gold, because before, with the gold standard, the Federal Reserve had to maintain a certain amount of gold in order to print more. But that's not a restriction anymore. So that's a really good point. That's another reason why I don't think the U.S. will ever back the U.S. currency with anything, because it only limits on how much they can print.
Yep.
So
exactly. I do want to finish this interview. It was actually really good. There's only about a minute left. So going back to this interview here, we'll just finish this up and then we'll move on.
Yeah. Code is law. A Wild West jungle that completely opts out of the Byzantine government-captured, government-orchestrated corruption in the existing system. And I think that remains the promise, as long as the proponents of it are willing to stick to that vision, as I do. And so, we can get into a deeper conversation there, but the original promise was an opt-out, a backstop, an actual competitive outlet to say that if the existing architecture itself, the rails are broken, we're going to build new rails with a fixed supply. So nobody can print more artificial snow like the current Federal Reserve does. No skiing artificial snow. You're skiing on a fixed supply of the real thing. Great. I think it's a beautiful system. And the fact that there's an anaphylactic response from the existing incumbents shows you that they're insecure. In this case, that incumbent is the Federal Reserve, is insecure in its own value proposition. And so I, for one, as the leader of the executive branch, if I'm elected president, embrace that competition, because it actually holds our own feet to the fire.
Well, the basis of capitalism is savings, having capital to then be able to invest. So a lot of people in the community who are Bitcoiners, they see it as the ultimate savings technology.
All right. I do want to move on to an important narrative that I think is going to be very, very a big one, and that is real world asset tokenization. So here we have this article: Philippines to sell close to $180 million in tokenized treasury bonds for the first time. This is from Cointelegraph. The Philippines Bureau of the Treasury announced it would offer 10 billion pesos, or about $179 million, of one-year tokenized treasury bonds for the first time after canceling their traditional auction, which was scheduled for November 20th. The bonds will be issued by the State-Owned Development Bank of the Philippines and the Land Bank of the Philippines. Now, if you guys remember, in February, Hong Kong issued $100 million in tokenized green bonds under its green bond program. The government used Goldman Sachs' tokenization protocol to tokenize the bonds with 1 year validity. And I do want to piggyback off that by sharing this video from Chainlink. says how tokenized assets go global. So let's watch this and then we'll discuss.
Tokenized assets, the new trillion-dollar market opportunity. But what are they exactly? Tokenized assets are digital representations of real-world things. Almost any asset can be tokenized on a blockchain. Tokenized assets are more efficient, more liquid, and more transparent. The biggest banks in the world are already exploring tokenized assets because that's what their clients want. But tokenized assets will be spread across hundreds of blockchains. That's where Chainlink comes in. It connects everything together. Chainlink is how tokenized assets go global, which is why everyone's talking about tokenized assets.
So I want to ask you first, Rob. What we're seeing in the Philippines, are we going to see more of that? And then how important of a role do you think it is for, just take Chainlink out of it, any project that can bridge the gap, right, for you to be able to buy a tokenized treasury bond of another country or a nation state or real estate in another country? How much easier is that going to be? And it's just, what are your thoughts in general?
All right. So what I think is we're gonna have moving forward is the fact that blockchain uses the internet and it breaks down all regional barriers, and it doesn't need inclusion from certain financial organizations like the IMF. And so if you're in one part of the country and you want to provide an asset, whether it's purchase, sell, have an investment, whatever it may be, if it's available in one country and and it's on the blockchain, then anyone that can participate in the network globally, as long as they have an internet connection, can invest, buy, can use these tokenized assets. Now, whether you're going to use it as an investment or just custody it, say it's a tokenized version of gold. Say, hey, I want to get exposure to gold. It's sold in the Philippines. I'm going to buy it here in Brazil. And if the custodian of the gold, if they don't use something like blockchain, they have to have the intermediaries use servers and participate with the IMF, it breaks down all the barriers. And I think that's something we're going to see a lot more of in the future. And I think that's the best part of it. And I don't know. I think the next bull market, the NFTs, where we saw the JPEGs, I think that whole euphoria is going to be replaced with tokenization, also perhaps ticketing and more of an expansion on media. I think this is something that I'm very bullish on. Makes a lot of sense.
What are your thoughts, George? And is there one sector of real world asset tokenization that you're most excited about? Is it maybe, tokenized real estate across the globe? And if you want to buy a piece, if you believe Dubai is an emerging economy, you want to purchase a piece of tokenized real estate down there. You don't have to go through all the hurdles and jumps and this and that. Is there one sector that you're really honing in on? And what are your thoughts on Chainlink and what they're trying to do in bridging the gap and bringing all the liquidity into their CCIP protocol, making it easily accessible, not just for public blockchains, but for private blockchains as well?
I'm really excited about tokenizing Lego sets because I have so many, and I'm going to be tokenizing it so people could buy a piece of my collection.
What's your favorite Lego set, real quick? What's your favorite one you built?
Ooh, I don't know. Probably the Star Destroyer, but that was a long time ago, and it's a very big set. I really enjoy the modular buildings. I love every year Lego releases a new modular building that you can connect up into your city. I love that. Every year I look forward to it. And the next one will be out soon. But, with that theme, let's just go with that, real estate, buildings, tokenization. I mean, we already have that, but I think it just opens up the borders. We have timeshare already. It already exists. You can buy, and you have like Grant Cardones of the world that will tell you, just give me your money and I'll go invest it for you, and you get a piece of it, right? So we have stuff like that outside of crypto already, but with crypto, you can tokenize it. It opens up the border so that someone in the U.S. can buy, like you said, real estate in Dubai or Japan or wherever. Okay, so I think that exists, but I think the regulations may be iffy because, say you run into a problem, is any jurisdiction, going to know how to resolve that problem? So I think tokenization of property for me, I'm still staying away from it. But we could definitely see. I mean, we see advancements all the time now. Like you just mentioned, you just showed Chainlink, which is ready, of course, helping projects do that. But just yesterday, Avalanche. The reason why Avalanche started going up is because JP Morgan announced they're doing the same thing with some kind of bonds utilizing a subnet on Avalanche.
Yep.
And that was just announced yesterday. So you're seeing big financial infrastructure starting to do so already. And it's interesting because that's considered DeFi. So now we're getting real case uses of DeFi for non-existing crypto companies, which is really fascinating and interesting because right now we know DeFi as, we could do swap, we could do staking, we could do bridging and all these things. And of course, tokenization and NFTs and everything else in between. But now we're starting to see big financial banks and institutions and companies that's also utilizing tokenization for their needs, using a public ledger or a private ledger. And it's really, really interesting. So I to answer your question, I know that didn't really answer the most, I guess, the one sector that I'm really fascinated with. I don't know. I haven't thought about it yet. I just feel like we're so early. So in terms of tokenization of physical things or property, or even services, I don't know. I think it's just gonna be wild in the future. I'm just looking forward to it. That's all.
I agree. And
$50 super chat.
oh damn, Jimmy.
Then what do we got for super chat? What was it? Jimmy dropped 50. He says, George, important question. He's asking about your Legos and
I answered him in the chat already. Yeah. He's asking about my new Lego room, which is complete. I did tweet it out the other day, but
I've been looking at that. I've been looking at that Home Alone one. It's like $300 though, man.
Home Alone?
It's the Home Alone. It's like the replica of the Home Alone house.
Huh. Yeah, I have that. It's right outside where I sit. It's too hard. It's too hard to pull in, or otherwise I would do it.
I used to build a lot of Legos, then they got really expensive.
You are so cheap.
Here's the proper, just so you know, David, Lego is singular. You can't say Legos. People get pissed off at you. You have to say Lego sets.
My apologies.
You're gonna go buy some Bitcoins too? To the Lego, you're gonna go buy some Bitcoins?
To the Lego community, my sincerest apologies. I do not wish any
that's
harm.
the same thing with Bitcoin, it's hard. It's supposed to be singular, but when Michael Saylor is buying 100,000 Bitcoins, do you say Bitcoin? He bought 100,000 Bitcoin or 100,000 Bitcoin?
You leave the S off of there. You don't throw no S on there, man.
I agree. We have to leave.
I don't know. That's weird.
That is weird. But
okay.
What really, one of the reasons I'm so bullish on Chainlink, and I talk about this all the time, but you have an example of Hong Kong and Philippines using a private blockchain, right? JP Morgan Chase has a private blockchain. Then you have JP Morgan also used Avalanche. What Chainlink is looking to do is to bridge and bring all that liquidity into one place, to where if you're on an Ethereum network and you want to purchase or play in a real world asset tokenized project here or bonds, but it's on a private blockchain or it's on Avalanche, it's all there. You don't have to go through the tedious process of getting an Avalanche address and then putting the money to a bridge and then pulling the liquidity on that end and sending it back this way. There's just so many points of failure. And what Chainlink is looking to do, I think it's pretty massive. I'm very bullish on it. I do want to ask you, since you brought up Avalanche, and I already asked Rob. I'm curious, real quick. Avalanche at $22 or Solana at $65. In your opinion, what is a better long-term play? So to say, let's say for the next 2 years.
Yeah, I was watching when you guys were asked or deciding that. Me personally, I think I like Avalanche better, but I think by the end of the bull run, Solana will be higher. I think there's a lot more people holding Solana than Avalanche at this point. Solana made a lot of friends in 2021, a lot of bag holders out there. And now that we're past FTX FUD, I think those bag holders are now starting to accumulate once again. And there's a lot of institutional interest in Solana. Even Cathie Wood is starting to talk about Solana. So it definitely has more awareness and more bag holders. But I think Avalanche is one that a lot of people slept on. It's the same thing in 2021. I didn't even pay attention to Avalanche until they started rising up like crazy, and now they're almost within the top 10. So I think they're both fantastic projects, but at this point, I don't know. Avalanche is much cheaper. I don't know. I think short term, I would say Avalanche is probably too overheated right now. It's gonna pull back because it went from 15 all the way to 22 in like 2 days, so it's probably gonna come back, right? So I would say short term, Solana, and I guess long term, Solana too.
Solana.
I guess.
Short-term Solana, long-term Solana.
It's hard, but here's the thing. You don't have to just pick one. You can have exposure to both. I have exposure to both. I have equal exposure to both in terms of the amount of coins, and I'm completely happy if they both rally, great. If one, great. Either way, I want exposure to both because I'm not a fortune teller. I can't tell what partnerships are going to come in the next year, 2 years, 3 years, who's going to get more adoption, if there's going to be any network outages on Solana.
That's what worries me, man.
I think Fire Dancer completely changes the game, and that is already live on the test net.
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
The thing is, their downtime came with when they had tons of volume.
But Rob, Fire Dancer literally
they haven't had any.
That is literally the fix is what Fire Dancer is doing. That is what
scalability. It didn't fix outages. It fixed scalability.
No. Fire Dancer.
Fire Dancer.
Think about the reason it was
scalability.
It got the outages.
Scalability.
Right. All the DDoS attacks. Fire Dancer essentially eliminates that. It makes the network a lot faster and a lot more.
Computer programmer has spoken.
Anyways, I do want to. You see what I deal with here, George?
No one wants to see mom and dad fight. Okay, come on, chill.
It's more like. Anyways, do you want to give a shout out to Seth? Is in the chat from Mind Your Biz. Seth, how you doing, my friend?
Also, we have a handful of new people: BTS, Bitcoin Trader, Troy, Inga, XRP, Belgium, Marco, Mason, Abel, and Liechtenstein 589. Hola! Welcome to Cincinnati Crypto. Also, if you haven't hit the like button, let's get this thing up to 180 likes. That'll open up the club. There you
go. Gentlemen, I do want to talk about Tether stablecoin. So this article from Bitcoinist, Tether signal that last preceded the 50% rally for Bitcoin is back. On-chain data shows Tether has recently seen developments in its on-chain metrics that may hold relevance for the Bitcoin price. There are two metrics of interest here: trading volume and whale transaction count. The former of these keeps track of the total amount of USDT that's getting involved in trades on spot exchanges daily. The metrics value basically tells us about how active the market participants are right now. The other relevant indicator is the whale transaction count, which measures the number of transfers happening on the network that carry a value of at least $100,000. Only the whale entities are capable of moving such large amounts in single transactions, so the metric can provide hints about the interest that these humongous investors hold in the cryptocurrency space currently. And here's a chart pretty much showing what the article has read so far. Whenever the Tether transaction activity is high, especially from whales, it's a sign that the investors are transferring the asset around to potentially exchange it for assets like Bitcoin. So, George, I want to ask you first. What are your thoughts on this indicator? And then also want to ask I want to tally a question on the back end for you. You hear a lot of people saying stuff like Tether and all the Tether printing. It's artificially pumping up the price of Bitcoin. Tether is a net negative and could potentially harm Bitcoin. What are your thoughts on that? And then what are your thoughts on these indicators? You put any weight on them?
I definitely think that Tether did play a big role in 2017's pump when no one was paying attention, because people don't know why Tether was created. It was really to patch a big hole in iFinix's balance sheet. And if you look at iFinix, which is the company behind Bitfinex and Tether, you look at the history, it's just really bad. They'd suffer many hacks and they create one token after another, and so Tether was one of them. And when Tether, couldn't, they had an $800 million or something like that locked in some bank account. Then iFinix decided to come out the Leo token, which exists now too, and people don't know that. Leo token was also created to patch that 800 million hole that Tether got. So the whole thing is just so shady, but somehow it's still around. But here's the good thing, I guess. Okay, Tether has been sued time and time again by the South District of New York and I think certain states, and they have won every single time. And Tether has also been tested too. We have during FTX crash, during some kind of crash, there was a large exodus, like $3 billion, $4 billion, $5 billion worth of Tether, and they survived. Okay, and recently they've been more transparent with their reserves. So with that said, I think the immediate danger of somehow Tether going belly up, doing a rug or decoupling, debasing from the dollar. I think those worries, I wouldn't say 100% gone, but I think it's minimized now versus then, let's say 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020. But with that said, I think you have to, it's just it's the best of what we have, I guess, right? So many people rely on it. I'm not saying to put 100% faith in it, but based on they have been tested over the last few years and survived and is still, surviving, I think eliminates some of the dangers or some of the things that people have been saying for years. So that's pretty much it. As for the whale transactions, obviously, when there are a large number of whale transactions, obviously that means people are buying and trading again, right? And overall, that's good. That's good.
For me, a lot of the negative narrative I hear about Tether is the government's going to go after them. They're going to shut them down. And my narrative has always been Tether is in the top 22 of how much U.S. debt they hold, right? Because for every dollar minted, they got to have something back in it. And they've moved away from commercial paper into U.S. Treasury securities, right? Bonds, bills, notes. That is in the best interest of the U.S. government for a company like that to consistently keep buying because, as we saw from last week's bond auction, it was a shit show, right? They were having issues selling, so they had to jack up the interest rates. So I think we're going to see more of that as countries try to balance their economies and prop up their currencies. U.S. keeps getting downgraded by some of the biggest rating agencies like Fitch and Moody's and Standard & Poor's. So if these people aren't buying, but you got Tether here that is consistently minting and buying billions of dollars worth of your treasury securities, I think it's in the best interest of the U.S. government. Kind of bring them in. I'm not saying let them do whatever they want. Bring them into compliance and let them continue to prop up your government debt spending. Robin, I know you don't put a lot of weight into these indicators and whale by this, by that.
I actually do put a lot of weight when it comes to stablecoins. I mean, I think when you look at wallet addresses for Bitcoin, or you look at the movement in exchanges from one token to the other, I think that can get muddied. There's a lot of games that get played there, but the movement of dollars on and off the exchange, which for the most part gets stored into stablecoins, is a great indicator of the move in the market. And if you see billions of dollars moving onto an exchange in the form of stablecoins or out of an exchange, it's usually a lot of weight to that, or a lot of meaning to that. So I actually hold some meaning to that. As far as Tether, this is run by an offshore company, as George was alluding to, but I think, it being a dollar pegged stable coin, I think it's going to lose its hegemony in the crypto space to obviously a dollar issued stable coin from the United States. That only makes sense. Now, I would assume it's going to be in the private sector, but I mean, who's to say that something like Fed Now or some kind of the Treasury Department doesn't issue out their own stable coin? I know people want to associate that to a CBDC. More than likely, it could be a parallel to that. Or, I mean, there's nothing to stop the government from issuing their own stable coin. But I think that is more likely that's something that's going to disrupt the stablecoin market when it comes to Tether. Or perhaps we see USD Circle, or USDC and Circle, perhaps we see them rise to the ranks. We've seen that they've had a lot of partnerships with US companies. Obviously, they're the go-to stablecoin for Coinbase. They haven't outed Tether completely, but we see that they have in favor of the USDC. And I could see a situation where institutions, perhaps different like Wall Street or the CME, maybe they will start using or embracing Circle. We've already seen that politicians are more in favor or lean more into Circle's category than Tether. And I think that because the dollar is issued by the U.S., it makes sense to have a U.S.-based company issuing out the dollar stablecoin. I think that is something we're going to see. Remember, USDC was a fraction of what Tether was going into the last bull market, and now it is caught up significantly. It is now a household name. So I think
they got lampooned by Silicon Valley Bank going under because they were closing that gap to Tether. It was like they got up to almost 50 billion in market cap, and now they're at close to 24. Tether keeps growing. I believe Tether is right at, I'm taking a look here real quick. Tether is at $87 billion, and Circle is less than 25. And so that is a 3-to-1 advantage to Tether. Will USDC catch up? Who knows? But it's available. I do want to talk about this, George. The biggest influencer fights in history. This is what we alluded to when you first came on the show. CryptosRUs and Karate Combat kickoff party. This is happening December 14th through December 15th. Well, December 14th, 8 p.m. to midnight in our backyard, Las Vegas. We will be there. Can you tell us a little bit about this event and why people should come and hang out with us?
Well, people should hang out because they get to meet you guys, since you guys will be there. Your audience would love to meet you guys, right?
I would hope so.
Yeah. But not just for you guys, but all the influencers. Most of the ones I'm close with will be getting an invite. And a lot of the biggest influencers will be participating in the fight. So they'll be showing up, right? So this is for IFC, the Influencer Fight Club. So there will be 14. There will be 14 fighters. So that'll be 7 matches. And they're from around the world. So they will be there, plus all the other influencers that are friends of mine and friends of you guys, right? So it's going to be a big meetup. I would say the biggest thing is a meet and greet. Yeah. People that want to meet, their favorite personality, favorite influencer, favorite fan, the ultra fans that they want to meet some of us, then go ahead, come and join. So it's really that. And then also I'll be inviting other crypto projects as well, not just influencers, but several other projects that may be interested, in talking with people and just networking, so it'll be a good event. Plus it's in Vegas.
I'll say
Who doesn't
that
like Vegas, right?
These events, a lot of these meetups and when you get to meet creators, you get a lot of alpha, not just from the creators, but the people that are there. You get a lot of developers there that you can get some like inside scoop. You can hear about some of other people's favorite projects. And I've gotten exposure to some projects that I made a lot of money on. And the only reason I was even had exposure to that was going to some of these meetups. And you're just sitting there having a drink in your hand, talking to somebody. They're like, "Hey, man, you heard about this?" It's like they're having an upgrade coming up. You want to take a look at it. So. It is if you're a DJ, you're gonna get some good plays at events like this.
You know what I'm looking forward to seeing Crypto Crow fight.
Huge, dude. You talk to the dude, you're like this.
Crypto Crow, he's a beast.
He's a big dude, man. He's like what, 6'11", almost 7 feet. He's a big guy.
I think he's a true 7-footer. I mean,
I think so.
Literally,
he's fighting RC, right?
When I find him.
Yeah, he's RC.
And Ramil, he is playing the NFL, guys. He played for the Steelers and the Dolphins. So he's not some chump off the street either. Crow might have size, but Ramil's got, I don't know, man.
He's athletic for sure. And he has size too. Ramil's not a small dude. He's like 6'6", 6'8" or something. So he's a big guy too.
Yeah, we will definitely be there. If you want to be there, we did post the link in the chat. We pinned it to the top. Use the link if you want to buy a ticket to come hang out with us at the kickoff party in Las Vegas, December 14th. We will be there. George will be there. Some of your favorite content creators and projects will be there as well. It's going to be a fun time. If you were here a couple months ago for the CryptosRUs Vegas meetup. We were there as well. We had such a good time, met amazing people, great food, great drinks. I feel like this one's going to outdo that. I don't know. I'm excited. We're going to be there. If you want to be there as well, use the link in the description of this video. Also, I can't imagine anyone watching who is not already subscribed to CryptosRUs. But if you're not, do yourselves a favor. Go to YouTube, subscribe to CryptosRUs, and follow George on Twitter as well. Let me pull up your Twitter here, George.
Hey, I just want to let you guys know, your call at 35.5 as a good support, right? That was 100% true. Bitcoin bounced off of there. Now we're above 36,000, right?
Did you put that leverage
So
trade
if you
in?
listen, you threw that 50x, you'd be looking pretty good right now.
Did you put that 50x? That's the question.
No, I did not. I wish I did, though.
Then,
should have listened to me, bro.
And then before the closing bell, Jimmy dropped 20 gifted memberships. Big shout out to you, Jimmy.
Big shout out to Jimmy,
Wow.
the sugar daddy.
20 membership.
Yeah, Jimmy is our channel sugar daddy. We love him. He's our hype man. Jimmy's been with us for a long time. A lot of our community has been with us for a long time. I know a lot of names that were here when we were 1,000, 2,000 subscribers. We love seeing you guys in here. So big thank you to you. And also, like I mentioned, George's Twitter handle. Go follow him if you're not, at CryptosR_us. George, it's always a pleasure to have you on, my friend. Love your insight. We appreciate you.
Look forward to hanging out with you.
Yeah, man. We look forward to seeing you again. Maybe we're going to have to go buy a couple bottles of that Johnny Walker Blue.
Yeah, I love it. I love to stop by while I'm in Vegas. Maybe we can do another live stream together in your studio. I'd love to do that. And I think it'll be a good time. I love Vegas. I love Vegas.
Amen to that, man. You're always welcome here in our studio. George, thank you again, brother. Enjoy the rest of your week, my friend, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Take care. All right, man. What a good show today.
This is like definitely, I don't know if he's my favorite guest or he's up there if he's not the favorite.
All I'm saying is I was right on 35.
35.5. Yeah,
Should've leveraged.
accept it. Gloat. Go ahead. Be happy.
Well, I don't get love from you guys in the studio. I got to give love to myself. Guys, go follow us on Twitter if you're not, at SinCityCrypto1. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hold on. You're subscribed.
Pump the brakes. Pump the brakes. We're at 183 likes. We have crossed the threshold.
That's not the number. The number is...
It was 180.
I'm not participating.
180. So here at Sin City Crypto, we like to celebrate new milestones. And, well, getting 180 likes is something for us. It's something that's hard for us to do. But we do a couple things here in Vegas.
We do it all the time.
Shut it. We do a couple things here in Vegas very well, like street races with Formula One. Also, we got clubs and dance moves. So, without further ado, I want to celebrate. Pop some bottles. Rocco, let's open up the club.
Yeah! Dance, damn it.
Oh, wow. Robin with the sick moves. Listen, how many times I got to explain myself? I am sitting down. It's hard to dance when you're sitting down. You guys not understand that?
I'm
The
telling
one
you.
time I stood up and I was
the
busting
sitting
moves,
down-
bro.
the
I was
sitting down is
busting
the
moves.
easiest dance
You
move.
yelled at me.
Yeah, where's Ashley's dance?
Listen, the music's over. I don't know.
Yeah, okay, good job.
We can put it back on if you
No,
want.
Anyways.
it's all right. It's all right. I'm good.
Guys,
Thank
if you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you subscribe, ping the bell notifications. We go live every weekday, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Also, big thank you to our channel sponsor, CAM's Blue Wire Technology. If you want to learn more how they can help your business grow, visit bluewiretech.com. And with that being said, Rocco! Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. What an amazing show today was. Big thank you to our special guest, George. Come back tomorrow for Forest Friday. On behalf of all of us here at Sin City Crypto, we love you. Until tomorrow.
Sin City Crypto. Everybody know we here for entertainment and info. Gonna show you how to get that big dough. So every day stay tapped in for big facts, no capping. With Bitcoin, if you're in, then you win. We divide the pie with no fraction. It's Big Rob, David. I split the game, but they gave it. Name the coin that's your favorite. I got dry powder, why save it? To the OGs, new beginners. Special shout out to the well members. Buy a dip, sell winners. Ain't really nothing you can tell sinners. Tune in for the latest new flavors. They gonna teach us mean coins. They polarizing like barbecue chicken pizzas. I laugh with a major grin. Laggers, we trade them in. Baddies, they came to sin. And sinners gon' play to win. Screaming hola till my bags are flowing over. Hold ya to the moon and to the solar. Won't I?